Okay, so I've been sent this mini Windows 10 computer from ACEPC in exchange for me doing a review, and I've been super impressed with it so far. So let's switch it on. You'll hear the click and you'll see the blue light comes on straight away. The reason I wanted to show a startup test is because it starts up really fast. Now, I've had eMMC drives in the past and they've been quite slow, but this one doesn't feel like an eMMC drive. I guess obviously over time things just keep getting faster. But it's also got 8 gig of RAM. It's also got a Celeron J4125 processor. And over the last 2 or 3 days I've been playing around with it, installing things. I've been super impressed. So let's hit the spacebar and let's just log in, and then I'll switch over to screen capture so you can see how it looks. I also want to launch things, so let's say let's launch the browser. We haven't given Windows loads of time to start up, but even so, if I start typing BBC, go to the BBC homepage, it loads up nice and quick. Everything's really smooth. Oh, I didn't click on that first time. Yeah, everything's very smooth, and multiple tabs don't seem to be an issue. So let's go for something like YouTube, Lee, PSP, video, HDR, and let's click on a video. Video playback is excellent, really snappy, really fast. Or if I click on that, it will open in YouTube. And let's go right up to 4K on here. Oh, after we've had the adverts, let's get some sound going.
60%.
Bit loud. Let's skip that ad. There you go. So this is, I would imagine, probably playing at 1080 first of all. But if I skip into 4K, let's block notifications from YouTube, and it plays 4K lovely and smooth. So I'm going to stop that and I'm going to go backwards a bit because I want to show all the bits that come with it, because they wanted me to do an unboxing. I'm not a big fan of showing unboxing of products, so this is the contents of the box. So you can see there's the box, we've got a little 1-year warranty, we've got a quick start guide, just a basic little book which guides you through, but it is already installed with Windows 10, so that side of it is super quick. Now this part was an interesting bit. This is a VESA mount which goes on the back of your monitor. There are 4 holes usually on the back of a monitor. Not everything has it, pretty much all TVs have it. And then your ACEPC has a couple of clips here so it can actually hang on, and it's literally just that. So this goes in here and then that's hanging, and that means you can hide it behind a monitor or a TV. So a nice little touch there. Last 2 things are the power supply, and it's not a little tiny fiddly one, so that should be reasonably strong. It's also very low power consumption. This screw was installed. I've taken it out because I don't need it, but basically if you pop the screw in, it means that this catch doesn't open, and I'll show you what this catch does. The reason you wouldn't want that to open is, I guess, if you were using this as an office computer and you don't want someone meddling inside. Now all it gives you access to is a SATA 3 slot. So this is basically for a hard drive. So something like a physical hard drive or an SSD drive will just slot in there, and that will give you either extra storage, or you could run your operating system, because this will be a faster storage medium than the eMMC drive that's already in there. And I'll show later on how to change the boot media and things like that. But yeah, so you can run an operating system from a SATA connection. But we also have a little SD card slot, and you can run an operating system from that, or you can run an operating system from USB, and obviously the operating system is running from the eMMC drive that's already in there. So it's really, really versatile, and that's what I got excited about, really, because I do a lot of videos on Raspberry Pi, and I've kind of been treating this a little bit like a Raspberry Pi. So Windows 10 is already installed, and if you want to use it as a normal computer, it actually works surprisingly well. But if you want to put retro games on it, if you want to run different operating systems, Linux, various different things, I'll show you more about that. But first, back to the disk that's in there. So I said it was eMMC because that's what it says on the box, and some of the specs I've been looking at seem to show that. Now, Windows PowerShell shows this as an SSD drive. Now I've copied and pasted this into a browser, and it doesn't seem to recognize the drive or give me any more information on it. So I've done a little bit of digging, so I can close that bit down now and go into the system here, and it just says fixed hard disk, standard disk drive. There's not much more information in here. So if I go to the browser, this is all it came up with when I copied and pasted that GSD model number, so it didn't really give me much information. So I did a little test with speed. How fast is eMMC storage? I found this article and you can see that it's got an eMMC drive and an SSD drive. So there's two drives next to each other, and I figured I'd show my figures next to that. And as you can see, this is way faster than this eMMC drive. So on the left hand side, yeah, much better speeds. I mean, looking at this, look, 35.79 faces 449.50, 3667 faces 109.43, and if we look at things like the write speeds, way quicker, so 426 against 138, and the write speed is way faster on this than this SSD drive they've tested. Now, I don't know what SSD this was. Oh, here you go. And the 128 gig SSD drive in the Surface Go. So it's a Microsoft product, and this is way quicker. So I'm not sure if it is an SSD or an eMMC drive. It did say it was SSD when I searched for it, but yeah, nonetheless it's fast, and that's why I've been feeling that this for running Windows just works really well. I've been really happy with the speed of it, and I wasn't expecting it to be anything like as pleasurable to use as it is, and it just feels like a fast computer. So let's have a look at a few sort of Office-y type things. So if we open LibreOffice, which I've installed, which is free Office software, it launches pretty quick, and if I go for their sort of PowerPoint type of thing, I double click or single click? Single click, it looks like. Something's happened here, yeah. So if I call something up and hit open, and let's just insert a few pictures. And these images are 4K images, so reasonably big images. So let's hit open on that. You can see that looks lovely. And I'll just try and do all these things in real time. I just kind of mess about and you know, do things that you might have to do. So you might have to search for something online. You might have to import something. You might have to edit something as well. So here we've got two images on here now, and you can see that it's still running pretty well. But let's open up some more software. So let's open up GIMP, which is like a Photoshop equivalent, but again free to download. So I'm still running the presentation software in the background here, you can see. Let's open up something like Raspberry Pi Imager. This is a way of writing images to an SD card or a USB. More on that later. Let's leave that on the side. This usually takes a while to start up on a lot of systems. So while it's doing it, let's insert, I'm not used to this. Object, no, shape. Symbol shape, smiley face. There you go, and let's go back to GIMP. There you go, it's nearly finished. And what I'll do is import a picture, let's play around with it, and then put it into this presentation. So we might as well go full screen on that. No, I don't use this very much. So, File, New. Let's hit OK. And let's import. I wonder if I can do it by going to the folder and pictures, and let's right click this one. I don't think we've used this one yet. Copy, and let's paste that in there. Oh no, it doesn't let me paste it in there. Edit. Oh yeah, paste. It's probably going to be too big because it's a 4K image. Is it doing it? There's no image data. Okay, so it doesn't work like that. So I wonder if I can drag it. I can. And so image and transform, rotate 180. Oh, it's done already. I was waiting for it to do it, and it had already done it. Rotate 180. So let's play around with levels. Is it going to have some sliders? Here we go. You can see it's adjusting it fine. Obviously I've made it look awful. Let's export that as, will it let me do it as a JPEG? PNG. PNG will probably work. Export. And export. Yeah, that's doing its thing. So hopefully PNGs are importable in this. So insert image, untitled PNG, open. Yeah, so, and while it's doing all that, let's open a web browser and let's do a search. Let's do hot UK deals. You've already seen me do YouTube and it worked very well on that. And as you can see, it's nice and snappy. It is fast. So if I do Raspberry Pi, and let's just call up the official site for that. Let's do a search for my channel. I think we can see that it just seems to work fast. Very, very nice to use. Right, so let's try some games. Let's close all this down, because if we're going to do games, we don't want to be running loads of other things in the background. We won't bother saving that. And we won't bother saving that, as it's not my greatest work. But as you can see, and I haven't heard the fan come on at all yet, and it is warm in here. So outside it's 17 degrees. But it feels a lot warmer because I've got the sun coming in on the back of the monitor and towards me. But yeah, it's not heating up at all. It's going to in a minute though. So Dirt Rally, let's start that up. Okay, let's start stage. This is running at 720,
5,
but it still looks pretty good.
3, 2, 1, go. Right, 3 continues for 100. Left 6
Proper sketchy handling this game. Very good though. Like very realistic.
Caution left 5 over jump.
But as you can see, it's running pretty fast. It certainly doesn't feel jerky or anything. It did at 1080, definitely, but I don't expect something without an inbuilt graphics card. This is basically using the graphics that are on the processor. That sound is really loud, isn't it? Oh, I was turning down the volume when I went off-road a bit there. Can I get back on in time? I can.
Right 4 tightens to 3, into immediate turn square right, don't cut.
But yeah, I'm impressed with that. That's pretty good. Oh. Okay, so let's try a different game as well. So this is running at 720, and again 1080 was a bit choppy, and I've lowered most of the settings down. But if you can see, the menus work nicely. Let's go to continue. And this is another Steam game, and as you can see, if I look around with the right stick, you can see that lovely sun effect there. Everything is running nice and fast. Where have I got to go? Somewhere over here. Little jump there. Oh. I've just been really impressed. I didn't expect this to run as well as it did. My son and I played through the first bit together the other night, and yeah, both of us couldn't believe that it looked and played as well as it did on a Celeron processor. Celerons have got a lot better.
Okay, take it slow.
So let's just scroll around. Look at the sky and everything, that, and all those little dust particles and things. And let's find something where I've got a bit of movement. Let's go for that. And it seemed alright in some of the faster bits at the start, which I think probably have got a lot more going on. Yeah, it's coping fine with this, I would say. Perfectly playable.
I can do this.
On to the next. Or should we let us see if we can do this? Where are we going? It's over to that cockpit, I think. I can't remember, I haven't done this for a while. Oh, grab. Yeah, on to the next. But I could keep playing this. So let's Alt F4 out of that. So for this next bit, as I mentioned before, there's not enough space for GTA, and GTA was free on Epic Games a while ago. So I've got this 4TB Seagate drive, so I need to plug that into a USB 3 socket, and then switch back into screen capture. Okay, so now we're full screen, 800 by 600. This looks alright. So far so good. I've played through this bit and it's actually running pretty well, as you can see.
Come on, let's get to the chopper.
Yeah, and the car feels nice and smooth.
We move quick, we can beat the train. We're getting there.
And it still looks pretty decent.
Cops, coming our way.
Ooh.
We
Ooh.
ain't got this car yet.
Oh dear.
You guys all right?
Okay, so in the main game, let's have a look. If I scroll around, graphics still look pretty decent. And if I run, and let's get into a car.
You always was old chew. Oh, you balling hard with the drop top, huh?
Shit, cool, homie.
So the car feels alright, and you can see the environment looks pretty decent. So the handling seems pretty good, it seems pretty smooth. You can see a little bit of jerkiness there, but actually it is still definitely enjoyable to play. Yeah, very impressed with that, nice move. So next up I'm going to come away from Windows and I'm going to try Recalbox, which is a multi-games emulator system, which is on this 32 gig micro SD card, and I'm going to try running that. And also I'm going to try adding some ROMs. I've got a load of ROMs on this hard drive. I've got another video on Raspberry Pi on how I got the ROMs on that hard drive and how they work with Recalbox. I'm also going to install Xubuntu on this SSD drive using this USB stick, which has got the ISO of Xubuntu on it. And then I'm going to apply the Twister patch to give it a different theme as well. So let's start off with Recalbox first of all. Okay, so in Windows, open the browser and do a search for Recalbox and click on it. Then you're looking for the version, so here you can see downloadrecalbox.com version 7.2.1. You can see what systems you can download it on. Well, this is a PC, so I'm going to click on that. And you can see there's an older version for 32-bit, older PCs, but there's also a 64-bit version, which is what this is. So I'm going to click on that. And if you click on this one, it will download Recalbox to your downloads folder. But you also need to download Raspberry Pi Imager, and that's to write the image to a USB stick, an SSD drive, or an SD card, and in my case I'm using an SD card. So you download the version, so in this case it'll be the Windows version, and you install it in the normal way, and then you'll end up with this Raspberry on the taskbar there. And if I launch that, let's just minimize this. So I've already downloaded Raspberry Pi Imager and installed it. I've also already downloaded that Recalbox image. So choose OS, and this tool is really for a Raspberry Pi, but it can write pretty much any ISO or image to your storage of choice. As you can see here, loads of different image file types. So you can see here I've got Recalbox, which I've already downloaded. Hit open, choose storage. Now there's nothing there at the moment because I haven't plugged in my SD card, so let's plug my SD card in, wait a few seconds and it shows up. Click on it and then you would just hit write. I'm not going to do it because I've already got this installed on this SD card. And I'm going to restart, but this time I'm going to press delete when it restarts, and I'll show you why. So power and restart. So when it goes off and it starts to come on again, you need to be pressing this delete key. Okay, so that's off and it's going to start up. So I'm going to tap this delete key and this will get us into the BIOS. There you go. So now I need to change a few things in here so that it recognises the SD card on boot. If I go right on the cursors and select boot, go down to boot mode select and press return, and we want to select legacy, which you do for lots of different operating systems that you'll be running on this. So legacy, if I go down, it's already on USB device, and you can see here USB device, generic SDMMC. I'm using an SD card reader, so it's recognised that, so that's fine. So now I can go to save and exit, and this is an SD card in a USB reader, so save configuration and exit, yes. And I'm just going to leave it, and that's, instead of booting from the internal drive in the ACEPC, it's now going to boot from this SD card. and I'm using a controller because Recalbox needs a controller really to navigate around and also play the games. And this is a wireless Xbox controller, and it works really well with this and all sorts of other things. It's what I was using for GTA. So Recalbox, just hit return. So that's started up, so let's switch back into screen capture. Okay, so as you can see, there are lots of systems listed on the left-hand side, Commodore Amiga 600, Amstrad, and it tells you how many games, so 4 games for Amstrad, Apple II 3 games, Apple II GS 2 games, Atari 7800 3 games, and all you do is you pick a system and it will launch this, and you can see which games you're going to play. On the right-hand side you can see the name of the game and what it's going to look like, and if you just click on it, it will start to launch. So I'm going to go back and let's pick Sega Genesis and let's go for Pappy Commando. I don't know what this was like, but these are the games that are already come in it, so it's just ready to do. If you did that download and you just booted it from a USB stick, you can play all these games. Yeah, it's like the old style Commando, but it looks like you have like a karate chop as well. Oh. Oh, I don't know what the karate chop does, but as you can see, working fine. I'm just going to quit out of that with start, select and the home button. I'm going to shut this down because I want to add some other ROMs to it. So quit, you press the start button, hit quit and shut down system, and yes. So now we're going to use that catch on the back to flip the lid off, flip it towards me. There you go, so the lid comes off, and this is a 500 gig Toshiba drive. As I mentioned before, there's a way that I got the ROMs on here in my separate Raspberry Pi video. So that's just going to plug in like that. It's quite a tight connection. I'm not going to bother tucking it back in. I'm just going to use it as is. And if I hit the button, it boots up like this. So you can see that it's found more things now. So it's got favorites, it's got Light Gun on there, 3DO, various different systems on there. The light gun refers, I've got a bar plugged into this which I've never actually got around to using, a Dolphin bar, but you can play light gun games with it. You can see I've got 326 games available, it says, but it's picked up multiples on that. It was something I did when I was messing about with it. But 3DO, you can see various systems are in there, and it recognises the artwork on most of them. You can scrape for the artwork to get it all to show up. But this is more just showing what this system can do. So a Thomas Wave, which is arcade systems, and some really impressive games in that. But I was going to go with just Dreamcast. Let's give that a try. Demolition Racer.
Two, one, go!
Analog triggers for Accelerate. And as you can see, it's working as it would do on a Dreamcast. Very smooth. See if I can make more. Oh, nice bit of driving. And the fan's just come on. It's been off for a while. It was on a lot before with like GTA and stuff like that. But yeah, so as you can see, works perfectly well. If I press Start, Select and the Xbox button, it quits out. And you can see all sorts of things on here. N64, Naomi, Nintendo DS, PSP, which is really well emulated, ordinary PlayStation, Sega Saturn, all sorts of things on there. So that is Recalbox running on this mini PC. Okay, so now I'm trying to install Xubuntu, and as you can see, well, Xubuntu, the ISO is on that USB stick, that Samsung bar USB stick, and I'm going to install it to this 240 gig SSD drive. It's still on legacy at the moment from Recalbox, so it recognised the USB stick straight away. I didn't have to do anything else to the BIOS. And you can see that it's booted up and it's asking me if I want to try Xubuntu, so run it from the USB stick, or install, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go with install because you'll get better performance, especially from an SSD. Pick my version, and I'm going to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware. Continue. So I'm going to do erase disk and install as Xubuntu. And I need to make sure I'm picking not that drive because that's my Windows drive. So I needed to pick that 240 gig drive, which is my SSD. I did manage to wipe Mac OS off my MacBook doing this same sort of thing. So yeah, make sure you're doing the right drive. Install now and continue. I'm going to do login automatically and continue, and come back a bit later. Okay, so installation is complete. You need to restart the computer in order to use the new installation. Okay, so it's come up with a boot menu, so I've just left it and it's selected Ubuntu on its own. So I've just plugged in my Ethernet cable just to save me putting in a Wi-Fi password, and it wants to add some language support, so I'm going to let it do that. Okay, so you can see from the menus here everything is coming up and running. What have we got as a web browser? Let's go for Firefox. Let's just launch something just to quickly check that it's working alright and everything. Okay, so it doesn't like 4K video, but it doesn't seem to mind 1080. So let's quit out of that because I didn't really want to run Xubuntu because I wanted to put TwisterOS, which is my favourite OS, on the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, there's the Windows drive, look. So we have access to the Windows drive. Okay, so now to install TwisterOS. Now I've already downloaded it, but just to show you where to get it from, it's on the TwisterOS website, and you go to Downloads, Twister UI, click on the yellow, and then download the 64-bit version for this particular computer, 32-bit version for much older computers. So I've already got it on the desktop, and what I do to make this easier is I rename this file and I call it just Twister, and it's twister.run. So now we right click and open terminal and then type in chmod +x twister.run and then /twister.run. So you can see here this will install Twister UI, press Ctrl+C to cancel, press N to continue, and I am connected to the internet, and this will take a while. Okay, so you can see it looks really nice. All of the icons, all of the backgrounds and everything look great. There's various different things that are already installed in this. So things like Lutris, which is a sort of game manager, QJoypad, which is a joystick emulator, so you can pretty much use a joystick on any game. There's also Wine configuration and Wine desktop, so you can run Windows apps within Linux. Now obviously we have Windows on this computer, but interestingly there are some older Windows apps that will work with this that won't work with Windows 10. So it gives you a bit more options as well. As you can see, if I flick through, Google Chrome got installed, Steam got installed. There's multimedia in here. You can see VLC. There's another couple of media players there. The LibreOffice suite got installed, so all sorts of things are on there. It is ready to go. But one of the interesting things about TwisterOS is this theme changer. So basically, you can change the theme to look like another operating system. So you can properly make it look like Windows 10, Windows XP, Windows 95, Windows 7, but also you can make it look like Mac OS as well. So let's go for XP, one of the best looking operating systems of all time. Pop your password in. And you can see that it's changed the theme. I've got to hit enter to restart. And as you can see, we now have what looks like Windows XP, but works with a modern web browser and also has backwards compatibility with old games around about the XP era. Some of those games work, some of the older games work as well. Let's just change to my favorite theme on this, which is Twister 10. Here you go. So this is a Windows 10 theme, so you're still running Linux, and you've got this search option, which I find really good. So if I wanted Wine, the Windows emulator. If you want to know more about the Windows emulation or about TwisterOS, check out my channel. I've done loads of videos on it on the Raspberry Pi, and a lot of it relates to it running on this Windows computer. And here's the Windows 95 theme, which is very authentic to the original. And I've popped the drive in now because I figured I'm going to leave it in there for a while. And obviously I can boot between Windows, between Linux, and play around with it. So let's just pop the lid on and make it look a bit tidier. So thanks to ACEPC for sending me this unit to test. I'm very impressed. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.